The ground shook. Coffee cups danced on tabletops. Outside, two military helicopters descended into the cracked parking lot of Sonny's diner like thunder from the sky. Dust flew, car alarms wailed, and customers ducked beneath windows. Inside, Rachel Miller, apron still on, hands trembling, stood frozen. A decorated general stepped out of the chopper and marched toward her with solemn purpose. "Ma'am," he said, voice clear above the chaos, "I believe this belongs to you." In his hands, a folded American flag, and something else that would change her life forever. All because yesterday she broke one tiny rule. Rachel wasn't anyone important. That's what she said to herself anyways. She worked the morning shift at Sonny's, a weathered roadside diner where the vinyl booths had seen better decades, and the neon sign flickered like a dying heartbeat. Her apartment 3 blocks away leaked when it rained. Her bicycle chain slipped every few miles, and her sneakers had more character than soul left in them. But Rachel lived by one simple rule. If someone looked like they needed kindness, she gave it. No questions asked, no strings attached, even when her manager wasn't looking, especially when no one else cared. On that gray Thursday morning, someone finally noticed. The bell above the door chimed as a boy stepped through, maybe 10 years old, drenched from the steady drizzle, swimming in a jacket 3 sizes too big. His shoes squelched against the checkered linoleum as he chose the corner booth farthest from everyone else. He studied the laminated menu like it held the answers to impossible questions. Rachel approached with a pot of coffee she didn't offer. "You doing okay, sweetheart?" The boy didn't meet her eyes. Just fries, please. I've got $2. Rachel saw the crumpled bills clutched in his small fist, a 5 torn nearly in half, and some change that might add up to hope. She glanced around the diner. A trucker nursed his 3rd cup of coffee. An elderly couple shared a piece of pie. Nobody was paying attention. "How about we make that a burger, fries, and a chocolate milkshake?" she said. His head snapped up. "I can't pay for all that." Rachel's smile was warm as fresh bread. Today, kindness is on the house. From somewhere behind her came a familiar grumble. "This isn't a soup kitchen, Rachel." She didn't turn around, just kept her eyes on the boy and spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. "I've been hungry before. Sometimes a warm meal matters more than the money." The boy ate like each bite might be his last, methodical and grateful. He thanked her after every few mouthfuls. When he finally pushed back from the empty plate, Rachel sat down across from him. "Where's your family, honey?" He stared at his hands. "Mom's gone." The words hit Rachel in the chest. "What about your dad?" A shrug that carried the weight of the world. "He said he'd come find me." Before Rachel could ask anything else, the boy slipped from the booth like water through fingers. "Thank you," he whispered, and disappeared into the gray morning. That night, Rachel lay awake staring at her water-stained ceiling. Should she have called someone? Child services? The police? But then she remembered the way he'd looked at her, like he'd forgotten people could be safe, and she'd reminded him. She whispered to the darkness. He didn't need rescuing. He needed to know someone cared. The next morning changed everything. It started like any other day. Coffee percolating, bacon sizzling, the usual cast of regulars debating whether the weather would break. Then the world turned upside down. The rhythmic thunder started as a distant hum, growing louder until it drowned out conversation. 2 military helicopters appeared over the tree line, descending toward Sonny's parking lot like mechanical angels of judgment. The diner shook. Plates rattled off tables. Through the windows, Rachel watched soldiers in tactical gear pour from the aircraft, securing a perimeter with practiced precision. Then came the man who commanded their attention, tall, silver-haired, with shoulders that had carried the weight of command and a chest heavy with commendations. He walked through the diner's front door like he'd been expected. "Are you Rachel Miller?" Rachel nodded, her voice caught somewhere between her heart and her throat. "I'm General Marcus Graves," he said, removing his cap. "Yesterday, you fed my son." The diner fell silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator and someone's sharp intake of breath. "My boy Jacob ran away 3 weeks ago," the general continued, his voice steady but strained. "After his mother, my wife, died in a car accident." We've had search teams, satellite surveillance, ground units. Nothing. He was a ghost. Rachel's hand found her chest. The boy, he's yours? Last night, a trucker at a rest stop mentioned a kid who talked about the angel at the diner. Said you were the first person to show him kindness since Sarah passed. From behind the counter came an incredulous whisper. All this? For a free meal? General Graves turned, and his expression could have cut steel. This wasn't about food. My son was drowning in grief, running from everything that reminded him of loss. When he met this woman, he stopped running. That moment of human decency, it saved my child's life. Movement outside caught Rachel's attention. From the second helicopter, a small figure emerged, same oversized coat, same muddy shoes, but something different in his posture. Hope, maybe. Jacob ran straight to Rachel, wrapping his thin arms around her waist like she might disappear. No words were necessary. With his son clinging to her, General Graves reached into his uniform and produced a gold coin, heavy and warm, etched with an eagle and the words, "Valor in Service." "This is a challenge coin," he explained. "We give them for exceptional courage, for doing what's right when no one's watching." Then came the envelope, thick and official. Rachel's hands shook as she opened it. Inside, a check for $50,000, bearing the seal of the Military Family Emergency Relief Fund. Rachel shook her head immediately. "I can't accept this. I didn't do anything extraordinary." "You did something I couldn't," the general replied. "You reached my son when all my resources failed. This isn't charity, it's gratitude." This place gave Jacob a reason to believe in goodness again. Use this to keep that light burning for the next child who needs it. 3 months later, Sonny's diner bore little resemblance to its former self. Military volunteers had replaced the flickering neon with warm LED lighting. Fresh paint covered decades of wear. The floors gleamed, the booths had been reupholstered, and yes, the jukebox finally played music again. But the most important addition was in that corner booth where Jacob had sat alone and afraid. Mounted on the wall above it, a folded American flag rested in a triangular case, accompanied by the golden challenge coin. Below them, a simple brass plaque read, "Here, kindness was served first." And every morning, Rachel would glance at that corner and remember, sometimes the smallest acts of grace echo the loudest, carrying the weight of helicopters and the hope of a child who learned that strangers could still be angels. Because in a world that often feels broken, someone has to choose to be the repair.